Hi, I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading. Today I'm at the Rock Island Auction Company taking a look at some of the exquisite muzzleloaders they have in-house right now. This is quite possibly one of the weirdest muzzleloaders or most different muzzleloaders that I've ever seen. I think when we think about a muzzleloader, for many of us, what comes to mind is a European or American muzzleloader, and this comes from just about the opposite end of the world. And it's pretty cool. This here is a fine example of a Turkish or Caucasian Miquelet. And I think you can tell by looking at it, it is super ornate. There's nothing plain or subtle about this muzzleloader at all. Long guns like this were popular in the mountainous region at the border of the Russian Empire and the Ottoman Empire, as well as the border of Europe and Asia. But they were rarely this ornate. This gun is fully decorated from muzzle to butt. The smoothbore barrel is made from a highly patterned Damascus and has raised border designs, a raised top flat with floral finials, a band near the swelled muzzle which has a small blade front sight, an untranslated marking on top of the breech, and a notch rear sight at the breech end. The barrel is secured by 5 silver bands with light engraving, and the Miquelet lock has a gold Damascene finish with line and floral patterns and coral accent. The stock is really what catches your eye. It has panels of bone and or antique ivory, panels stained light green along the forend, and round inlays throughout. Silvered brass panels with scroll engraving, round tacks, niello work, bands of mother of pearl, and studs set with a variety of stone are placed all over this muzzleloader. I think in many ways, the uniqueness of this muzzleloader really speaks for itself. It's really far out there as far as muzzleloaders go, but in that it is really beautiful. The artwork portion of this is just wonderful. I mean, this whole piece, I believe, encompasses itself as a work of art. I think just as this could have been carried to hunt or to battle, it could just be on display in a home or in a palace of some sort as a work of art. This is a very interesting piece, and I mean, overall, it's a very interesting muzzleloader, but there are a few things that really stand out to me as key pieces that really make it different compared to some of the Western muzzleloaders that we're used to. The first being the rear blade sight. It is really integrated into the breech of the barrel, unlike a lot of muzzleloaders that we see in other parts of the world. The rear sight is really back here at the breech end of the rifle, right in line with the lock assembly and the cock here on the side. We've seen quite a few Damascus barrels on muzzleloaders, but the Damascus here is just a really ornate pattern, and along each of the sides here, we have just a beautiful embellishment along the barrel channel. All over the stock are these beautiful triangular floral patterns, just all inset into the stock here. And what's neat about them is they don't all look the same. This doesn't look like the kind of thing that would have been made in mass production all uniform. So each and every one of these little circles of pattern are a little bit different from each other. It's just, it's a neat muzzleloader. Something that strikes me as odd with this odd muzzleloader, at least in my experience, is that it doesn't feel very comfortable. This bulb placement here on the right-hand side would be right where your palm is if you were gripping this gun to shoot. It makes me wonder if this was designed for somebody that was left-handed, even though the lock is on the right-hand side. There are no holes or gaps where one of these bulbs would be on the left-hand side, meaning that you can get around the wrist of the muzzleloader and get to the trigger very comfortably on that side. And along with that mystery, I can't imagine why you would want all of these bulbs where your cheek would be setting. I think this kind of lines up with the more ornamental aspect of this muzzleloader, more so than being used in the field like we see other muzzleloaders from this time period. Looking at this muzzleloader, it has been through quite a bit in its day. It is there are some scratches, some nicks, some dings in it. You can see here underneath the lock, there's a missing piece of this bone plate here that surrounds the entire rifle. But that's not to say that it's not a neat piece of history. I think as far as muzzleloaders go, this is really a nice example of a Turkish muzzleloader that we don't see a whole lot at least in this part of the country. At the muzzle end here, you'll notice another distinct difference from Western or English or European muzzleloaders. We have almost a weirdly swamped barrel, so to speak. It's not really swamped, but that's about as close as I can describe it. At the breech end, we have a very large bore. As we come down the barrel, it gets very skinny, and we have this rapid swell and then a dramatic decrease in barrel size right at the end, creating this kind of bulb tip here at the muzzle. It doesn't serve much functionally, but it's still an artistic liberty. As much as the stamping or engraving here at the breech in some of this plate is nice, these barrel bands are dramatically different in skill level. Here, near the lock, we have, albeit rough, we still have scroll work and some stippled backgrounds, very reminiscent of traditional engraving patterns that I think many of us around the world are familiar with. But these barrel bands look to just be chiseled, at least on the top barrel side of them. As we go around the bottom of the stock, we have a nice simple wedding band line going around. But up here, it's really just chiseled. I mean, it's just a kind of a straight, flat chisel with some decorative marks, all of them in semi-unison as far as design goes, but each one of them different. I'm not sure if these were added later, but the quality here is very different from the rest of the muzzleloader that we can see. So that's a little mystery, I think, for us on why that design was put there. I think judging by these plates going up the stock and back here around the lock and the breech, these could have been a little more ornate. And that's not a critique, I guess, of the maker or of the artist behind it, but they are very different. All in all, this is a very different muzzleloader than I'm used to, but it's a really fantastic piece to take a look at and get some more inspiration from muzzleloaders around the world. I think it's important to recognize that while the American long rifle is kind of the iconic muzzleloader and has been for generations now, muzzleloaders like this and that came before and after the American long rifle, kind of got us to where we are today with firearms and other muzzleloading technology. So it's always neat to see a piece of history like this that comes from a different part of the world. So I'm Ethan and I love muzzleloading. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to learn more about this piece here, check out the Rock Island Auction Company on social media. They're going to be posting a ton of great pictures of this piece and many more leading up to their September premiere auction. Thanks for watching.